If you haven't seen it already, I wouldn't recommend watching it, but if you choose to do so, so be it. Leave the world behind. Now, I'll be honest, I haven't seen it. I know the general premise of the movie. I believe it goes, there's a cyber attack on the United States, and everything basically shuts down. Soon after, these drones start flying over the United States, and they start dropping these letters saying "Death to America." On one coast, they're dropping them, and it's saying it in, I believe, like Arabic, and on the other side of the United States, they're dropping it in Chinese. So there's a bit of a confusion as far as who's fucking doing what, right? The premise of the video is to show what would a cyber attack on the United States look like in the event. We can't communicate with each other. We lose communications. We can't travel. Satellites have been hacked. Basically, everything stops fucking working. You can't get a hold of your people because the towers are down, so you can't use your cell phone. You can't use GPS. We've basically been sent back to the Stone Age as far as communication goes. So only thing you can do is, look out for your immediate family, whoever you're with. And, there's no more talking over the internet. There's a loss of information, chaos, and supposedly the movie says that it's a group of enemies that we've made, the United States that have come together to essentially throw the United States into chaos in order to overthrow the government. Basically, it's the most cost-effective way, is what they say in the video, to dismantle a country, because the chaos and confusion mixed with rising tensions among its people, you're basically cooking up a recipe for self-destruction. And since nobody can go get a hold of anybody, nobody trusts each other already, so it's basically every man for themselves. And if you don't know, this movie was it got Obama's cosign to it. So a lot of people have been saying, well, what the fuck? Why would they endorse a movie like this, right? I was watching this clip of Patrick Bet-David. If you don't know who he is, he runs a podcast. He does insurance. He's a pretty famous guy. But he has this podcast, right? And so him and his people were talking about why the fuck they would endorse a movie like this, right? Or create something like this. Like, if it was a movie made by anybody else, fuck it, it's just a movie, right? But the fact that it was endorsed by the Obamas, there's got to be a little bit more to it. Or maybe there's not, who knows? But this guy Vincent basically says that it's called predictive programming, right? These super rich, powerful people feel, one, it's necessary to inform the people who they're going to ensue chaos upon prior warning, right? So that way, their consciences are cleared, because they've given the population a warning, essentially, quote unquote, and it kind of primes the mind for essentially what's to come, right? I don't know if anybody else has seen sort of similar things, right? For example, when COVID came out, or when COVID happened, Contagion was released on Netflix. Now, I haven't seen Contagion, but same thing. I know it's about a fucking pandemic that spreads and essentially throws the world into almost what we saw with COVID, right? Where basically the government shuts everything down. Which, me personally, here's my take on COVID, right? I think the evidence goes to show that COVID was a man-made virus that originated in Wuhan, China. For whatever reason, that information has been suppressed. But regardless, man-made virus spread into the world, whether intentionally or unintentionally, spread throughout the world. At first, I do believe it was a novel virus, right? We didn't know anything about it. I think, the panic reaction was to lock things down because obviously we didn't know what was going on. But I think it was pretty clear that, me personally, the initial vaccines, were they good? Were they bad? I'll be honest, I don't really know. I don't know if they were good or bad because I didn't get fucking vaccinated. I'm not sticking a damn needle in my arm that was fucking made in, 6-7 months? So, fuck that. Definitely not doing that. The other thing is, or I believe that it was an exercise to see how far they can take shit, right? Everybody can kind of agree that it's pretty ridiculous. It was pretty ridiculous that the fact that you had to put on a mask, walk inside a restaurant, right? Sit down, take your mask off, put your mask back on to go to the restroom, come back, sit down, take the mask off, eat your food, put the mask on just to leave so that we could take the mask off when we get outside, right? The whole point of the mask was, first off, you're not supposed to fucking touch the mask because the more you touch the mask, the more germs end up on top of the mask, right? I think we can all agree that shit was pretty fucking stupid. And I guess the idea behind it, right, is general safety, right? The idea is that if you don't wear the mask, you're a bad person because you don't care about everybody else's safety. Which, honestly, I get. At the same time, though, nobody should be required to wear a mask. You can't say that the establishments can decide their rules, right? But I don't know. Me personally, I wasn't really a fan of the masks. I kind of thought, if you want to wear one, cool. You shouldn't have to force other people to wear them. I think the science also showed that the masks didn't really fucking work either. I mean, the vaccines didn't really work either. You got the fucking vaccine, you still got COVID, bro. Talk about the biggest fucking L. You imagine getting 4 vaccines and still getting fucking sick, bro. Imagine getting 2 vaccines and getting fucking sick, bro. Anyways, I do think it was an exercise to see how far we would allow them to push control. Whether it be the masks, the lockdowns. I mean, I think the whole situation was to see how far they could push it. And, I'm not trying to be the guy with the tinfoil hat, but I'm pretty sure everybody saw how unwilling the government was to relinquish their COVID powers, I guess you can say. It is what it is, man. It is what it is. I remember going to the gym and seeing the deaths, right? Counting the deaths, seeing what the percentage really was. And the fact of the matter is that honestly, the amount of people who were getting COVID versus dying from COVID was no different than the flu. I might be wrong on that, but it was an insignificant number, statistically insignificant. And so if you're trying to make the argument that if something's statistically insignificant is reason enough to shut the fucking country down, bruh, I'm not with that shit. So, but yeah, man, I think this movie, I mean, like I said, I'm not trying to be the tinfoil hat guy. Will something like this happen? I mean, I think the proof is in the pudding, right? A couple days after that fucking movie came out, nobody probably fucking heard about this, but the Chinese government news came out that the Chinese hacked into a couple of the United States' infrastructure systems, which exactly is what the movie's fucking about. Texas was one of the systems that was hacked into. Texas's energy system, and I don't know, man. I don't know. I think if in the event something like that were to happen, COVID was more than enough to show that if shit hits the fan, everybody is out for themselves, right? Man, motherfuckers were hoarding toilet paper, fighting over toilet paper. I remember they had to make rules where, like, I used to work at Whole Foods at the time. There would be a senior citizen hour because motherfuckers wouldn't give shit to seniors. They were fucking taking shit from old people. So they had to set aside an hour where the seniors can shop in peace, get what they need, and then everybody else could grab what they needed. And it's just kind of sad, man. I mean, I get it. Everybody's survival instinct kind of kicks in, but it just goes to show you that we are not strong as a country. We're not looking out for our neighbors. We're not looking out for each other. And, the unfortunate reality is it's survival of the fittest, right? The strong will survive and the weak will perish, unfortunately. So shit, and that was just COVID, right? The city was just locked down. Everybody still had access to their phones. Everybody, relatively speaking, still had access to food and water. Imagine what the people next to you will do if the fucking lights don't turn on or if the electricity doesn't come on. Imagine you can't talk to your fucking family members, right? How the fuck are you supposed to link with these people? In worst case scenario, right? If America were to fall, what plan do you have in place? Do you have enough food to fucking sustain yourself over a long enough period of time? Do you have enough drinking water to sustain yourself over a long period of time? If necessary, what you have in your house now, is that enough to sustain you for a long enough period of time, right? And again, I'm not trying to be that tinfoil hat doomsday prepper, but just like when it comes to fucking firearms, right? I'd rather have a gun with me and not need it than not have one and fucking wish I had it, right? Like I said, I'm not trying to be the doomsday guy or the tinfoil hat, but I think it's better to be prepared than not. God forbid an event something like that does fucking happen. You got to make sure that you got solid motherfuckers around you, because it is very, very fucking likely that if a situation like that were to happen, there's no telling how far or how low people are willing to go to ensure that they survive and they have what they need. So I don't know. Is something like that going to happen tomorrow? I pray to God it doesn't, you know what I mean? Well, is it bound to happen sometime in the future? It's a possibility. I mean, I think as we progress, right, especially with this motherfucker in office that we got, who's weak and old as fuck, I think here's what I think, right? I think we forget that it's only a couple hundred years ago that society has been as safe and as peaceful as it is now. I think we forget that men used to have to go to war and defend their land. War was a part of life. Fighting was a part of life. Death was a part of life, right? We forget that we are still part of this same history that we learned growing up, right? Motherfuckers used to sacrifice kids and shit because they thought it would fucking make the sky have rain. Like, we forget how vicious and cruel our nature is, and when shit hits the fan, man, I think when shit hits the fan, people will realize how quickly we revert back into our natural gender roles, right? Where the fucking men are being the saviors and hunters and protectors, and the women are at the house making sure the kids are good and children are fed and everybody's learning, right? It's only in the maybe past couple 50 years that, I wouldn't say couple 50, but these past 50 years, right, where we've gotten so comfortable that we've started making issues out of nothing. And all I gotta say is think logically, man. Stop thinking with your fucking emotions and quit being such a fucking pansy, bro. Your emotions are, they're nothing. They are nothing, unfortunately. Now, don't get me wrong. We're human. We're gonna have emotions, but it's very important to detach yourself from those, because emotions change. Emotions changed, and depending on what state or mood you're in, that can either fucking make you or break you. And shit, emotional men are the worst kind of men. That's when you get violence. That's when you get mass murderers, rapists, you get all kinds of shit. Men are the people who protect women and children from other men. Men protect other men from men. So, with that being said, if you saw that fucking movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Honestly, and there's a couple things that were said in the movie. You know what? Fuck it. I say go watch the movie. Make your own opinion about it. I feel like a lot of the media is very anti-US, and I feel like the mainstream news media tries to portray America as divided, but I think the silent majority can actually agree that I think America's more united than the mainstream news likes to let on. And I think that's the greatest fear, is I think every individual watches this bullshit on the news, and there's this and that, this fucking war, that fucking shit, this bad thing, this negative thing, and I feel like people are watching that and looking outside their window and saying, well, where the fuck is all this bad shit going on? My neighbor isn't fucking bad. Everybody's relatively chill, right? But yeah, I think with that being said, this next year, like I've always said, this next year is an election year, and it's gonna be fucking crazy, bro. It's gonna be fucking... This year will probably be one of the most chaotic years in a long time. And depending on whether or not people use their brains and engage in conversation instead of fucking hearing one thing and sticking to that point, I think, I'm a very optimistic guy. I have a very optimistic look of our future and where this country's headed, and where my future is headed. Shit, where your future's headed, right? I have a very optimistic look on how things will be in the future. Me personally, I think things are gonna, I think we're still headed down. We're on the downhill side of things, but I think and I'm praying that the next generation after this current one, like my daughter, those kids, I'm praying that things almost regress a little bit in the sense of tradition, because that's what we need. We need tradition. We need tradition to come back. We need to be proud of who we are, where we come from, and I'm all for fucking progress, but I'm not for fucking people thinking that they can chop their dick off, bro. And that's not progress. That's just fucking insanity. So I'll end it there. If you didn't fucking work out today, what the fuck, bro? Get your ass up. Go to the fucking gym. Go make some money. Go fucking clock in. Eat some lunch. Clock out. Go home. Do a couple push-ups. Do fucking something, bro. Because I guarantee you that motherfucker you don't like, he's probably doing something. He probably is. That motherfucker is me, bro. I'm up. I'm getting it. I'm getting after it. I'm working out. I'm fucking making some money. So do yourself a fucking favor and do the same, bro. Do the same. That's all I got for today, bro. I'll end it there. I hope everyone has a good night. I'll see y'all tomorrow morning.